Are you the universe? Is this a dream? Is this an illusion? Is this a simulation? All these theories goes around, and many people have an intuitive understanding of this, but how does it look like to actually be the universe, to be everything, oneness? How does it look like in a more realistic, practical way of how you integrate that understanding in your daily life? Let's make a video about that. Let's take a look at some important aspects on how to be the universe, how to actually integrate that in your life in a practical sense. There are a few points that I want to point that are important to understand if you want to make this not just an interesting conversation or interesting theory or philosophy, but you want to get real on this topic. The first thing is the non-dual fail. I call this is the biggest misunderstanding of all these teachings that talk about oneness and you are everything and all that. There's one simple point that I think it is always a problem and people just don't get how to go about that. So I'm going to be tapping into some classical teachings on how this, because this has been solved way before in time, so we don't need to remake the wheel, rediscover the wheel. The second part is the requisite. There's one thing, if you want to integrate this in your life, there's one single thing that gets normally overlooked that you need to practically integrate this understanding in your life. I'm going to be talking about that. And then the paradox of productivity, because when you are the universe, what happens with the stuff that you do in your daily life? And the ultimate test, there's a moment where you are asking yourself, many people watching this video will have got to points where you had felt that you're there and you felt connected to everything, but you just fell backwards. And many people are in the process of swinging between one state and the other, and you're looking forward to say, okay, how do I know if I really made it? So we're going to be going deep into that. So the first point, the non-dual fail. Well, the biggest non-dual fail is you're not the doer. You do nothing. And as much as that is an ultimate truth some way, in the practical sense, this confuses people tremendously. Because, okay, you're not doing, but what happens when you go to work and you have a problem at work? How you apply non-doing there? How you apply not being the doer? Do you have to do something about the situation, or do you just stay there still? So this is a very, very thing that is easy to mistake, because we are so used to be a body and a mind and understand ourselves like that when we think of non-doing, like close to everyone gets it wrong. And there's a lot of waste time trying to integrate something that's impossible. So let's take a look at this from the perspective of Taoism, which I think is, from all the teachings, from all the classical teachings, I think is the one who nails the best this specific point. In this case, you have a picture of Lao Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Ching. And I extracted this quote because I think it's very meaningful if you're really trying to understand all this topic of non-doing, you're not the doer, so therefore you are the universe, right? So do nothing and nothing is left undone. That seems to be just a sentence that doesn't make any sense. If you're doing nothing, how is it possible that things get done? Well, that's a fantastic way of going about this, because in here it's not only implying that you actually don't really do the stuff that you think you do. For example, in neuroscience nowadays, you have these experiments where they can figure out how people, before they choose, let's say, a color or move their hand in left, right, the scientists can see in the brain close to 7 seconds before the person thinks they have made a decision. This whole thing implies tremendous consequences, and there's people being determinists, saying that everything is already the way it is. You know, this is not an old topic, but it's a very important question you have to go through if you are seriously considering to live by this principle. So do nothing, But that doesn't mean that you don't do your stuff. That doesn't mean that you're not a responsible person and your body talks and moves and do stuff. So you see how this can be a very, very complicated thing to understand in the practice. So do nothing, and nothing left done is telling you, yeah, definitely, absolutely do nothing, but don't think that that gives you any excuse to not be a responsible human and do whatever you have to do to things be the way they have to be. This, which brings us to a bit more deeper dive into a concept they have in Taoism that's called Wu Wei, which means that this is a very simple way of explaining it, so nobody's going to freak out with this explanation. It means just if you notice moment by moment in your daily life, everything you do, you're going to notice that sometimes you're trying to control stuff. There's an extra effort, an extra trying, because we've been told you have to try harder, you have to work harder. And here's the thing. For centuries, this has been clear through human history, at least in this context of these traditions, that this is actually not working at all. And I hope you find this in your experience. So go through your day, go through your daily activities and check out when you're doing too much. Start from there. What are the things that you're trying too hard? What are the things that you're trying to control too much? And just bring it down a notch. That will be an easy way and very realistic way to go about integrating these teachings in your daily life. So just let yourself be a bit more spontaneous, effortless, and just go through your day. Just not trying hard to make things go the way you think they should go, because that part of you that is thinking that things should be in a certain way is actually your little you, your little limited self that thinks that is a body and a mind. And we're talking in here how you become, how you be, in the sense of how you realize that you are already. But it looks like you become because you're starting from the standpoint of a single person, right? So it's still, the language still applies in the beginning, actually for a long time. So let's talk about the second point, the requisite. There is something that seems a bit philosophical, but if it's not part of your mindset, you're absolutely going to fail. A person, a separate person, if you really truly believe that, and you will notice that when your survival instinct triggers your fears and everything you're afraid to lose and everything that you try to prove to yourself and to try to the world and all this kind of personal endeavor, it's impossible. If you do believe you're a body, it's impossible to be the universe. So there's one single, it seems theoretical, but it's a very important point to understand, that if you don't understand this, as hard as you try to do nothing and to implement this, you are everything, it's just not going to work. In most of religions, there's this concept of God. There's this concept of totality, absolute, like everything is a being. There's an absolute oneness to everything. And this is an important concept when you, as a little person, try to understand the universe, because we live in a world right now that most people don't have a sense of a God, of a total unity entity. And that becomes a problem, because it's impossible if you don't trust that you are more than you are. It's impossible to get through. So if you're a single person and say, okay, I'm not going to do anything, so I'm going to leave everything into a randomness, you know what? As much as you try hard, you're not going to make it, because something in you is telling you, no, you're an idiot. If you stop pursuing what you have to do, you will never get it. You have to go for it. You have to motivate yourself. You have to try. You have to, otherwise the universe is not going to spontaneously bring to your feet what you need or what you want. It seems that you live in this chaotic universe where you have to make your living as a human, let's say. So, well, with that mentality, there's no chance you integrate in your life the non-doing. So in the context of Taoism, they have the concept of Tao, which symbolizes the underlying order of the universe. So you need to trust. If you have to let go of your individual self, there's a gap in there. There's a jump, there's a leap where you need to sort of trust that there is something else, that the universe in itself is just a chaotic, like one of the problems I think with quantum physics is that it seems like the universe is something like kind of random, pointless thing that just happens. It seems that there is no a coherent something behind everything, let's say. So this concept of you feeling that there is a universe and trusting that it's going to happen exactly what it has to happen is a crucial point of your mindset if you want to integrate these teachings. Because if you don't trust that the right thing is going to happen, you're going to fail, because a challenge is going to come and you're going to quit because you're going to say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make things my own way. It's going to be very difficult to relax deep into the layers of your mind where you can actually little by little realize that you actually are everything. So there's no fear. You can trust everything the way it goes. And when something horrible happens, let's say horrible from the point of view of your little person, you need to really trust there is a goodwill, ultimate purpose behind the whole universe and everything. Otherwise, it feels almost impossible to let go of our survival fears. There's a third point, which is the paradox of productivity. This is for another aspect of your mind. I would say, okay, yeah, but if I don't do anything, if I let the universe do through me, am I gonna do my job? Really? I'm gonna be able to go through all the things that I have to do? Well, here's a little bit that maybe help you trust and integrate these teachings a little bit more. That if you study the science of productivity, you're gonna find out that actually what all these gurus of productivity are saying aligns profoundly with what we're saying actually in this video, which is by doing less, you do more. It seems a paradox for your mind. But if you see business people who have a lot of stuff to take care of, you hear what they say. They say all the time, they make a huge determined decision to simplify their lives. Like they wake up in the morning and they just take out of their schedule everything they can all the time. And they just focus on 1, 2, 3 things that are important. And you forget about the rest. This is the reason why this seems so obvious, but if you try to do it in your daily life, you will notice that it's a bit more difficult to integrate than it seems, because you have to collect your intentions and your goals in your life to something very simple, because our mind will tend always to distract you with many different desires. Yeah, I want to do this, but I also want to do that. I want to go to the gym, but I also want to eat at McDonald's, or I don't know. There's all these complex, different directions that your mind is going to throw you in. So paradoxically, when you do less, you focus all your tiny efforts, you want to say, the actions start becoming more condensed into something that will actually generate what you really want to happen. So you will stop holding you back from doing things that you want to do. You will stop having fear about doing things that, if you trust in the universe and just let your impulse, your desire, which is desire is God, as someone will say in a religious context. It's not that there's nothing wrong with you. It's that we are confused in that you want a car, you want a house, you want this perfect body, you want this relationship. We're confused with that stuff. That's not what you really want. So what you really want is to be who you are, and you are the universe. So in order to accomplish that, you need to let go of all these little desires. It doesn't mean that your body doesn't move and do stuff. And you may have a relative goal of, I don't know, collecting certain kind of wealth to provide to your family or something. That there's nothing wrong with that. But understand that there are bigger players in the game. And if you want to be the universe, you have to start thinking of yourself as something wider than your body and your mind, which implies everything and everyone around you. So anyway, just going back to the productivity. Ironically, when you think of flow states, when you think of people actually getting more of their day and being able to produce more, produce in the sense of moving forward towards solving problems and creating more harmony in their lives in many different ways, from physical level to ideal levels, or creating stuff, being an artist, I don't know, any possible permutation of what you personally are trying to do in your life, you will achieve more if you do less. By doing less, it means that if you get less distracted with trying to do many things at the same time and just focus on the most important thing. That's again a gradual, logical steps back to do nothing. And there's one last thing that I want to leave with you for you to think. How do you know? Because sometimes many people have this non-dual experience, this oneness experience, but then you just go back at some point, you fall off that and you find yourself being a regular person with regular survival fears. And so the question is, how do you know at any given time? Well, there's this little secret. It's not a secret at all, but it's something I try to repeat as much as possible because I think it's overlooked in most of the spiritual philosophies that will depersonalize person. And this is one of them. Someone by thinking, I am the universe. So you will start thinking that the rest of the people don't matter, or that you will think that there is no ethics to anything because you're in a dream. So you can just do anything. And, there are no rules. It's your universe. You are the universe. So no, that's completely misleading. And if any given point you want to see if your ego is taking care of all these tasks and tricking you once again into suffering, just have this rule of thumb in your life. For example, that's my neighbor drilling the wall when I decided to make a video. There's no rush. So, your relationships. For example, how I do think about my neighbor at this moment, or how I do think, they shouldn't be like this. This person shouldn't be doing that. Our intention to control the rest of the world, especially people. Our intention to, how do you actually, in your inner, in your inner space of your mind and your emotions, how do you really think about people? Not just something you say and you're nice to people and you behave like a good Samaritan and you do your goodwill thing. And no. How does it feel? How do you really, deep inside of yourself, how do you think and consider other people? Because here is the last very important teaching in all this, is that if you really believe yourself to be everything, you're also other people. So respect and love just comes naturally into place. It's not something you even have to force yourself to do it. And I want to leave you with that thought. In what is the reality of all this, of being the universe, of being everything, of understanding life is a simulation, an illusion, a dream, quantum physics. What's the point of everything? Well, you integrate that, you know that you're in your right path when you monitor how you treat other people, your intentions with other people, how you think about other people. And you can certainly start imagining how this blurs your restricted self with your fears and your desires and your plans and your old personal thing against the world, trying to control everything so you're finally comfortable and safe. How you blur all this tension, all this fear. Well, the others, it is actually a good way to integrate this non-doing, to integrate this be the universe. Be other people. Treat everyone as yourself. This sounds easier said than done if you honestly are trying to integrate this in your life. But you see how this makes sense? If you are the universe, you're not just this body and this mind. That's the biggest mistake people make when trying to go through these teachings of you are the universe, you are everything, oneness, non-duality. Well, the point is that you are not what you think you are. So if you really understand that you are everything, you will, in your daily life, at least you will feel that there are great improvements towards your compassion to others. You will find yourself not worrying so much of getting your stuff and actually worrying about other people. And actually, you will find yourself that there comes this spontaneous energy of doing things for other people, your interest in other people, your care for other people, because you are also them. And as much as this may sound a bit of a paradox for a personal universe. Everything is everything. So there's no way anyone could say, I am the only player in this video game and the rest people in here are just empty simulating avatars of nothing. That doesn't make any sense. So if you want to know when are deluding yourself, and by this you can, the opposite, you can see here how, let's say, this goes a little rough, but it's what basically every horrible villain in the history of humanity have done. They have tried to get everything in the world because they feel that they are everything, so they have the right to get everything in the world. And how many people they kill in the way because they didn't realize that what they were doing to others, they were doing to themselves. So it always, in the end, it always went wrong because it's just wrong. It goes against the unity of everything. So beyond this grandiose talking about your life, about your personal life, what I'm trying to close this video with is that check on how honestly you're treating your coworkers, your family, the people that you don't like, especially. Try to see if something changes, because that will mean that you're actually finally understanding that you are the universe, and only love for all the things and all the people will flow out of your heart. And that's how you live, in a state of love flowing through your actions and your mind and your thinking. And that's not doing, because you're not doing it. Love is a manifestation in your personal life on what it is to be the universe, to realize who you authentically, ultimately are. I hope you got value from this video. I hope you did. And I really mean every word I say. I'm not here just to have a controversial video and become an influencer on YouTube or something like that. I don't care about that. I care about real change, lasting real change in people. That's what I'm here for. So I take the responsibility of saying all these big words of lasting happiness and peace and nirvana and non-duality. Call it whatever you want. So I take the responsibility of pushing people in that direction, because the truth is that most people would experience with generic teachings like books or videos like this, they will experience a certain amount of a taste of it, but you just go back into the old patterns, because there are things, there are shadows in our life, things we don't notice that bring us back to certain patterns at work, relationships, money, health, your past, your future. There's certain specifics about yourself. So these teachings can be way more effective if they are done one-on-one. And that traditionally, when someone would be maybe in the position like yourself to realize this is the most important thing that you can do in your life, because there is no life that can be lived fully without that state of peace, that state of understanding. Nothing you could do would make any sense. When people would realize that, they would just reach out to a teacher. They would just move out of their village and they will look for someone who could teach them, someone who seemed to have to realize that, and they are living from there, and they will ask for help. Well, I've been meditating for more than 30 years. I have more than 15,000 hours of actually sitting to meditate. I work with world-class teachers one-on-one, and I want to extend this offering to you. So if you're ready to get real, what I'm offering you as a gesture of goodwill is a free call between you and me, no commitment. You just explain me what your case is, and I will try to give you something of value right away. And we will see if we are a match, and we may take a coaching together or not. That's okay. It doesn't matter to me. The important thing is I reach out, and I'm taking responsibility to actually help you. I care more about helping one person than reaching out 1 million people on YouTube. So if you feel that that is you, that you're ready to get real and integrate non-duality, nirvana, heaven, lasting love, excitement, and peace in your life for real, if you know that's a real possibility for you and you're ready, then just go to my website, ricardcoach.com, and send me a message. Hey, I'm here. I think I'm ready. And we will have this free, no commitment introductory call where you explain me what is your situation. Now, hopefully we'll give you already something of value, and we'll check if there is need or if there is value in keep on working together, if we are a match. So just go for it. Don't think about it. I don't buy it. And yeah, you get what I mean, right? From heart to heart. I've been there. And I want you to really fully live what you know you can live. That what you deserve, what you can be experiencing in every moment. I hope you're ready. I hope you recognize that. And by this mean or any mean, take whatever action or non-action you need to free yourself.